Good morning. It is 9:47 a.m. on Saturday, July 22nd, 2017. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. So I actually got distracted a little bit and was looking up different methods for making iced tea. This is partly because I'm generally feeling like I want to try to reduce the amount of artificial sweeteners I'm consuming, and primary means of consuming them at present is drinking a lot of diet soda because that's my primary caffeine intake. So thinking that maybe unsweet iced tea is, which I enjoy just fine, is a good substitute, but is a little more work, right? I can have the materials, but need to sort of make it myself, as opposed to just buying a 2-liter bottle of Diet Pepsi or whatever. So I need to do that, but I've not generally done that before. I mean, I drink tea all the time, but I usually drink hot tea. But that's not always what I'm looking for on a hot, humid day, for example. So, I mean, not that it's a terribly difficult process, but just looking to improve my chances for the first time making it. Like, for example, just a lot of the recipes talk about making a very concentrated amount and then diluting it, as opposed to trying to make the whole batch, the whole volume at once, which it wasn't my first instinct. So already yielding some solutions from my recipe searches. In any event, I'm going to try to probably make some today. The other thing of note yesterday was that I ordered and then got delivered an NES Classic, which is this little thing. It's a Nintendo product, and it's a little tiny. Obviously, you can see how small it is, but it looks just like the original Nintendo. And got the controller here, and it has HDMI output and then a USB, which is for power. And it has stored on it 30 classic NES games. And this was something that way back when they originally announced it, I definitely knew I wanted one, but they were very hard to come by. And this was not just in an ordinary, difficult to find product way, but in the sense that Nintendo had just dramatically not made remotely enough to meet demand, and then decided to discontinue it at the height of people still desperately trying to get them. Really irritating, Nintendo. Like, why you do that? And I think that, I've read people speculating that there was just some element of the way they were manufacturing it that that meant they didn't make as much per unit as they felt like they wanted. And so they decided that instead of going through the process that would be required to retool it to improve their profit margin, they decided they would be better off using those resources in some other way. Which makes sense, I guess, except that it's very disappointing that a product that a lot of people obviously really, really wanted, a lot of people weren't able to get one, including me. Except, of course, because you have the people who, were able to get in there and buy, 200 of them or something, and now want to sell them for, 3 times the original price. Yeah. Those people. And as loath as I am ordinarily to reward those people, I still wanted one. It was just kind of the principle of the thing. And for the longest time, I had just kind of held off on the basis of like, well, I shouldn't have to pay more. I don't want to pay more. But at some point, I knew I did still want it. I know that there are free ways, really, to, I could download an emulator on the computer and play all the games I want, more than the 30 that are on this thing, for free. And I know that they have, versions of this controller that you can play on the computer. So, like, it's not my only option for playing those old games, but I wanted it. It was not something I could justify rationally. It was an emotional purchase. But you know what? I decided that, with some of the stress I've been under, I decided on a little retail therapy within reason. Um, but yeah, anyway. Um, and besides, I mean, we're not talking like thousands of dollars here. It's just. But still, it's one of those things where I remember all of those games from when I was a kid, and, playing them is soothing in that way. Or at least some of them, because a lot of those old games are really hard by today's standards. So some of them are not soothing, but at the same time, it's a nostalgia purchase, which is always what it was. And so the interesting thing though is one of the things that occurred to me when I got it was like, hey, what if I did a stream of playing some of these old games? And I've not completely ruled that out, but after poking around with the technical solutions and trying to figure out, like, well, what's the best way to do that? Honestly, if I were to do a stream of me playing old classic Nintendo games, the best way to do that would actually still be to use the emulator. So, because I don't have a video capture card. But, what are you going to do? What I'm going to do is going to make some iced tea and play some Nintendo games. So I'll talk to you tomorrow for 5 more minutes. I'm seeing Wicked tonight, but I will be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender tomorrow morning because it's Sunday. One of my favorite episodes too, actually, and they'll probably talk about Wicked on Monday. So, talk to you tomorrow for 5 more minutes.